brief argument. The hunter, my father, a Marine, pops 2 shots at a young buck from too far. His hands motion for me to march the pasture and stand on the ridge. Overlooking the brown brush, I spot the deer 30 feet, no more, down the embankment. He stares at me as if to say, I know why we're here. But when I pull my first shot, which smokes up the dirt, he doesn't run. I want to run. We're both too young for decisions that might save us. He takes 2 steps, his black hole eyes on me, my breath held, my fingers shaking, my cheek tight against the slick wood of the rifle that stopped dozens of deer before I was born. I pulled the trigger again. The buck takes 2 more steps, then drops, chest first, his back legs holding firm, a brief argument with fate. I approach. I want my father to be here, to say, good shot or well done, so I won't feel the heaving breaths of the dying deer. My legs stutter, my father doesn't come, the deer doesn't die, and I don't know what to do except hold my gun to the space behind the buck's deep eye. I tug the trigger, hoping the soft chest will stop rising, compressing the air as if to steal my breath with each of his last. A 5th desperate shot finds something important in the throat. I tried the head and chest. He kicks once and settles in the dirt. Above my buck's body, I sway, nauseous, hoping my father won't see the mess I've made, the mess I've become. I'm excited to be here with you for a few minutes this evening, get to share some of my work with you. It's all about dead animals. I'm just kidding. Like, oh no, there's somebody in the back that goes, I can't take any more of that. That's the last one. There's 2 people in the room going, darn, I love that. Oh, it's creepy. I want to thank the other writers. It was great to get to hear you and your work, and to I know it's when you're a student and you're getting to share your work. There's just there's a unique kind of excitement in that, and I was happy to share that with you. This next piece is born of working with students for years now, and sitting through lots of student presentations, which by and large are pretty terrible. Not here, of course. You all are fantastic presentators, I'm sure. But where I've taught, the various places I've taught, student presentations are really pretty poor. And in fairness, I mean, we pretend like there's a good pedagogical reason to have you present. It's mostly to take up class time. We don't tell you this because, that's one of the little tricks or secrets of what we do. I wrote this poem in response to sitting through a lot of student presentations, and I sometimes read it to my students. This is called Pothead Pete's English Presentation. Shakespeare, the top American writer ever, wrote his plays in an English accent, like Russell Crowe. Merchant of Venice is a problem play because it's about hard crap like racism and the civil rights movement, but not Martin Luther King, who was Southern, and not in Boston like the Bard, which is Willie's nickname. People call me Slash. Al Pacino's a character in the movie adapted by Shakespeare, just like the play, except Shakespeare liked boys to play girls. and no girls were allowed in his theaters all over the globe. Even girl parts, like the chick who looks like Kate Blanchett, who dresses like a boy like Kate did when she played Bob Dylan, that girl's named after the car, Porsche, to indicate she's wealthy. Even those girls were boys, but nobody was gay back then, no offense. The Shylock wants a pound of Jeremy Irons to pay for his sins because Jews are going to hell according to the Anglican Church, which is like Catholics, but their Pope gets divorced. Queen Elizabeth, who still isn't dead, banished the Jews. During the Holocaust, Hitler killed 6 million Jews. Israel was founded in 1948. One scholar, I like it like that 74 on cheappapers.com, suggested that Shakespeare was racist and hired a ghostwriter. Build to a passionate close. Oops, I wasn't supposed to. That was my notes. So, we can learn much intelligence from Merchant, even if we don't know Jews and we don't like Christians. In conclusion, a quote from Pacino, who starred in Scarface, and he was the devil in that one with Keanu Reeves. I am a Jew. Hath not a Jew hand? I'll skip ahead to stay on your time. If you prick us, do we not bleed? It's like if you tickle us, do we not laugh? In conclusion, you grasp that Shakespeare is patriotic and would have stood on the white cliffs of Dover, Georgia with Dr. King. See, I didn't kill any animals in that one. I want to thank the volunteers who helped with the Helicon series. It's really a cool venue. I've known a few writers who've come through here and had just wonderful things to say about this community. And thank you to Star especially, and to Shannon for this really cool experience to come and. I've never been to Utah until a few days ago. It was my first experience in Utah. I drove into. And people not from here don't know what to think of when they think of Utah. I mean, well, they do know, like Mormons. That's the thing people think of. But you know that. But that's what people think of outside of here. They don't think about the landscape and the much else beyond Salt Lake City, and it's just beautiful. I've met wonderful people here, and love driving up the I-15 corridor. That makes me sound like I know what I'm talking about. The I-15 corridor hits St. George, Cedar City, Salt Lake, Logan. But it's beautiful. Like every 20 minutes, the topography, is that the right word? I use that instead of geography because it made me sound cooler. The corridor, I just loved it. It's just a beautiful place. When I'm feeling particularly self-absorbed, I tell people that I'm the second best poet to go through the University of Nebraska MFA program. And I say that because I've read Shannon's poems, and even when I'm extremely self-absorbed, I'm not quite capable of telling myself that I can do what she does. She's amazing. Do you've encountered her? Goodness. Yeah, terrific. And a dear friend and somebody I admire, and I'm grateful for her encouragement over the years. I have 3 daughters. Brooklyn, Amory, and Juliet, and I end up writing about them often. In fact, for a while there, I was running out of material. We thought about having a 4th. Stick with the 3. This is a poem. Much of my poetry is born of the experiences I have. That first poem, the deer hunting poem, is entirely true. Every word of it, unfortunately. But it's the kind of thing that makes a person a poet. So I'm grateful for the experience. This is called Little Girl, Little Lion, from an experience with my daughter. Little girl, little lion. From the stool above our soaking dishes, she proclaims, I can never be a poet, like it's written on a sacred stone in her identity's medieval cathedral. I am her father. She does not turn to me. Why, I ask, pulling wrinkled hands out of the suds we share. The blue glass she's holding slips under the water to a hollow clank. Touching her wet elbows, I hear, Daddy, girls can't be poets. I've never thought about how my daughter mirrors herself in Mommy, who doesn't write. I say the right things, pull her away from the sink to the floor, and bend to look in her searching eyes, brown like her mother's. They ask, are you sure? I rush away to find Bishop Rich, Sexton Dickinson, any girl on the shelves above where the wild things are. Showing her the stack, she pulls out Plath and opens to Daddy. I snatch the book back like it's Again, I can't be trusted. Can I be trusted? How can I wrecking ball the commandments she's constructed? I read the opening stanza, which ends in a sneeze, and she's satisfied. More Sylvia later, I say, oh, darling, you'll be whatever you need to be. And if it's poet, the world will learn to welcome your wild words. Cathedrals will crumble, stars supernova, and nothing that pretends will remain. But your words are water. Your life, a metaphor, only you complete. I say all this, our backs resting against the cold oven. One of the interesting phenomena of being an English professor is an expectation by students that you can't live up to, that you've read everything out there, right? They'll come up to you and be like, oh, have you read? And they'll name some book, and you, yeah. And then you just lie to them, which is part of the gig. Oh, yeah, that's great. And you turn it, use the power, you just say, what did you think of it? And you get them talking, they love talking. So this is part of the game. But there's this awkwardness to it, and I noticed this early on in my teaching life, that students have this expectation of you, and when you are less than the ideal, that they don't know what to do with it, and we don't always know what to do with this platform we're placed on as people who teach college students, as professors. I wrote this poem in response to regularly being asked questions about different things that I've read and how to best respond in those scenarios. This poem is called How to Pretend You've Read Moby Dick. There's an epigraph, nothing exists in itself, from Melville in Moby Dick. How to pretend you've read Moby Dick. Pause, as though considering the sea. Consider the sea. Cup your hands in a shell over your ear. Say, I'm considering the sea. Your inquisitors will feel slight, like a ship pestering the seas, hunting you, your wisdom a great whale. As they grapple with your unexpected waves, reconsider the sea. Say, I can't even think of the name of the ship or the captain. They'll smell blood and squeal, Pequod and Ahab, assuming they've harpooned you. Just then, channeling the inconstant sea, spring forward and say, I spoke metaphorically in the persona of the sea, which casts aside, swallows, and dismisses the existence of Ahab and that ship. If you've lured them, add, I might also suggest that the sea, mother of our prehistoric fathers, drowns and defies these shallow discussions. Finally, gaze 2 inches to the right of their eye. as though you've lost something precious in their ear. When they respond, ignore them and whisper, "We're all Ishmael. Call me Ishmael." So the cover of the book, which is available back there in case you hadn't heard, and incidentally, I sell the books to humans for 15 and to students for 10. My cost is 10 from my publisher, and so I really appreciate it when students who have no funds decide to take on a book. I know that's costs you more. So humans in the room, 15, and students, 10. This cover, though, is very much the Moby Dick-inspired cover, and you get this Captain Ahab and Moby Dick. And my wife, when she saw this cover, she looked at it and she said, "Oh, that's great, Gary. Your book will always remind people of a better book." and you've met my wife in one line. She's terrific. Incidentally, the artist grew up in Utah, in Salt Lake area. Her name's Molly Wingland, and she lives in LA now. But I thought that was a nice anecdote anyway. This is from a moment with my wife a few years ago. Osama bin Laden, as you know, was killed by the American military. And there was a moment that we had in our house that was maybe different than what many other people had in the days after that. This is called Bin Laden's rug. My wife says, "It's a rug. It's my rug. Honey, that's our rug." Strange to watch the room of the dead man, his rug blotched in blood, the same rug that lies lifeless by my own disheveled bed. This is the rug I bled on, stumbling in my sleep, splitting open my toe, with the new day's rumblings of seals and clips of what the news calls blood on the carpet. We walk hand in hand, like nobody does in the safety of home, to our bedroom to see Bin Laden's rug. My daughter, born into the white noise of terror, scurries past us to pounce from the old imported rug to the unmade bed. I hold her back, not knowing why. The TV's off. We watch our viral rug. Tonight, I'll kneel to look for something under the bed, my face touching the rough maroon threads, perhaps from the same loom as his. The world will unravel, and I'll wonder what my hands search for in the darkness. Before moving to Virginia, I taught in Minneapolis. I lived in Minneapolis for 8 years. And Minneapolis has one of the great regional theaters, the Guthrie Theater. At the Guthrie a few years ago, Ian McKellen of film lore appeared in King Lear at the Guthrie. And there was this, it's the best Shakespeare I've seen. I've seen a lot of Shakespeare over the years. But Ian McKellen appeared as the title role in King Lear. There was a moment in the play in which he decided to be totally naked. The production had Ian McKellen totally naked. I'm someone who is not capable quite of the level of pretentious theater crowd to sit there and go, "It's very organic to the show." I was going, "It's Ian McKellen! Look at this! Well done, sir!" This is called The Long Madness. I saw Gandalf's staff at the Guthrie when Sir Ian dropped his pants in the 4-hour madness of King Lear. The fool picked them up, but not before the third grader next to me, eyes too wide balls like Gollum's, saw the future, the wrinkled future, which hung before us all glorious and magical, foreshadowing the ups and many downs. I didn't read that in Salt Lake. There's a series of poems in the back of the book that are persona poems, character-based poems, poems from the perspective of a character. The character is a bit of a social misfit, kind of a social outcast, born probably of my own bits of paranoia and uncertainties. And this character, out of having trouble making sense of the world in the way we all do in our normal ways, Bill Bittner, the character's name, encounters the world and gives us some unique experiences. This is called Bill Bittner Delivers Pizza. "You don't have no clothes on your naked parts," I said to the tall lady who ordered a large with Canada ham and pineapples. She asked, "Why do they call it Hawaiian?" Her voice like a squished mouse. "Maybe in Hawaii they only eat pizza like yours," I said, "and they get pigs real cheap from Canada." "Pineapples are beautiful fruit, like prickly Mr. Potato Heads, except with juice, real juicy, and that pokey top thing that looks like a plant hat." "Why don't you have no clothes?" She still was naked and didn't answer, one hand up on the door, the other on her hip. She made a little teapot. She never did take the pizza or give me a tip. I said to the boss, the guy with the net on his beard, "There's a naked lady, and I'm not going to take any more pizza. Bill Bittner quits. I might stop back on Thursday, but I won't expect nothing free. Bill Bittner will have a special with sticks." She looked like a big, smooth rock in the river. I don't know, sorry. This is the poem, as I mentioned, there's several poems from this point of view of this character. This one explains to me Bill Bittner. Bill Bittner's bundle of something identical. "Once a month or so, I go to the Econo Lodge and drop off a bundle, usually a wrapped up phone book or something else heavy, before the sun gets up. To the name tag on the lady, I say, 'My brother will come around to pick this up. It's something important. He looks a lot like me, but his voice is higher.' Mother, more than once, told me I got my brother's name. Bill Bittner the first, my older twin, caught something blue and died 10 minutes old. When the sun sticks through the slits on the west window and bounces off the TV screen, I get up from my plaid chair and pull my fishing hat down on my eyes. I fix a limp or a stutter step onto my legs when I see the same lady at the counter. I'm here to pick something up from my brother. My voice usually cracks on brother. Your brother, Mother said, probably would have been a foot taller, able to digest peanuts, and eczema free. I wonder if Bill would have been afraid of shadows that might catch fire. The lady gives me the package like she's found a teddy bear and I'm its child. It's a phone book. I take it, hold it close to my heart murmur, and forget to ask what I really want to know. When I dropped this off, what was my name? This is Bill Bittner Daydreams. I want to sell hot dogs for a day from the corner in the city where everyone says, I'll have the works, to turn the meat tubes in hot water with long tongs and to stink like mustard and relish the scream, hot dogs, get your hot dogs, like everyone needs me to stay alive. Go, Bill Bittner. Thanks for caring with me about Bill Bittner. Two more poems. Poem of 4 explanations of poems at poetry readings. If you've been to poetry readings, as well, all of you have, you know that people talk about their poems before they read the poem or recite the poem. And I'm always fascinated by the things we say before. Like, this is a very meta moment. I'm talking about poems, and I'm going to read a poem about talking about the poem. Poem of 4 explanations of poems at poetry readings. 1, by one of those ladies with the red hats and purple shirts. I just want to say about this piece, you need to know that I own 30 cats, and that the river near my house is called Clementine, and so is my Siamese, who appears in this poem as one of my hats. 2, by Doug, someone's roommate until the body shaving incident. This one is for a lady I called Mother in this poem, but my mother's here tonight. Hi, Mom. So we'll just say Mother is a lady named Helga, but for the sake of the poem's integrity, we'll still say Mother. It's entitled, I Hate Your Face. 3, by the wide-eyed guy nobody has ever seen before. Before I got out of prison, me and the guys in my cell wrote a poem about dancing that resonates with me. So if we could all stand together and hold hands and think of death row, I'll read The Last Dance of Innocent Rico. 4, by a lit major named Shirley with the dark black hair. This poem totally speaks for itself. So I don't need to tell you anything, except in Book 2 of Paradise Lost, when Satan must move through hell's mouth, he meets his wife/daughter sin and his son/son's lover death. Oh, and the color red symbolizes blood. One more poem I'd like to read you, and then I'll be out of your way. I say again, thank you for being here for it. Enjoying my work. That's presumptuous of me. Some of you are still pissed you had to come here because you've been assigned it for a class. Those of you who have enjoyed it, thank you. Thank you for caring about literature. The poetry world's a difficult landscape, and we poets aren't particularly good at asking for help, asking for your support. But it means the world. I know not everybody can buy a book, and that's okay. But it means the world if you do connect with somebody's work, to talk to others about it, to tell people, here's a poet I encountered, and this person's of interest to me, and to, as somebody mentioned earlier, to really make sure you're supporting your local writers. I like to challenge people in their life to pick 10 poets in the universe that they believe in, and then to buy their books when they encounter them, and to celebrate them, and talk about them, and to post on Facebook about them, because you do care about these people, and if you sort of take on that group of people, and then you can, as they get worse in their next book, you can shove them off the list and add somebody new. But to have that sort of relationship with the writers you love is extremely important in our climate today, where reading often loses to Netflix, not because of any of you. It does to me. I mean, I like Netflix. My last poem. Have you heard the one about? Have you heard the one about the mad woman who gave birth without screaming till she held her child? She wailed, "He's going to die! He's going to die!" And he did, 84 years later, in a fishing village where he retired with his wife and their latest Shih Tzu, Dreamy. I know there's no satisfying punchline, no little joke about Mom's prediction, and nothing to barb with the sanity of a mother's pain. Nothing, that is, until you examine your satisfied sigh when you heard the baby lived. Distracted, you pranced past the little truth, every joke's companion. The mad woman was right. The boy died. The crazy mother mourned the death to come, the death of the old man in the infant, the death we forget in favor of what we call sanity, that flimsy gift of some other mad woman who birthed the rest of us and the jokes we bear. Thank you.